Welcome to Dig Studios. My name's Dusty Eisenhower, and here we build high-end guitars that are one-off creations. When I was young, I got into woodworking when I was about 18. I didn't really do a lot of woodworking in school, in high school. But I got into woodworking when I was 18, started building some furniture, started kind of chipping away at it, got a few tools and started turning some saws, and next thing I knew I really enjoyed it, and I was spending a lot of time in the shop. Really every project needed to be more difficult than the last was basically my motto. It started to think about it, and boy, a musical instrument really seemed like that's really pushing woodworking to the limit. So the first guitar I built was it had a Fender bolt-on neck. It wasn't anything, it was extremely difficult at the time, but now I look at it and think, oh, that's something that you could literally make in 35, 40 hours or something like that. I probably had 200 hours in it at the time. But what I realized was I'd built a lot of furniture, built my home, built a lot of different stuff, but with a table, it's always a table, and you can't pick a table up and take it and show it to somebody. You can't pick a table up and start playing it. You can't hand it to your friend and have them play a song on it, and that's where a guitar really found a place in my heart. It's an heirloom piece. It's something that many people can play from generation to generation. These are built to stand the test of time, and so as they go, all these guitars will be my son's someday, and he'll hand them down to his children, and you can just imagine that long after I'm gone, there will be some pieces of woodworking out there still making music and playing songs, and that's something to look forward to, because you're gonna die. There's no way around that. But a lot of things come and go. The guitars are a much different animal, and to know that you can put it in a lot of different people's hands and they're gonna make it sing is a good feeling. Yeah, the Eddie Vedder story was a great evening. We finished up work, and I worked a pretty late day. I didn't get home until about 9 o'clock that night, and my dad calls me, just out of the blue. It's 10:30. He calls me and he says, "Dust, you ain't gonna believe who I'm sitting next to." And I hear him say, "What band are you from?" And he says, "Pearl Jam." And I can't believe it. It's Eddie Vedder, Dad. And he's like, "Yeah, that's what he said, Eddie Vedder." My dad didn't even know who he was. Didn't have an inkling whatsoever of who he was. And so I talked to Eddie on the phone for about 20 minutes, and he basically was like giving me the directions that a young guy needed in his life, is to say, "Hey, make a guitar for me, make a guitar for Bruno Mars, take him to this guy Mark down in Georgia, outside of Atlanta." And he said, I'll get it in Bruno's hands. He said, "I'd love to have one myself." And he gave me the address and told me what to do, and I delivered them 30 days later. I made 2 guitars. Each one was solid 150 to 200 hours, and really just cranked them out in a 30-day span. I delivered them on the 30th day. They called me and said, "Hey, we've got it set up. We're going to get Bruno his guitar the day of the Super Bowl." So, right before he played the halftime show for this last Super Bowl there in February, Luis Guzman, a good friend of his, who's a friend of Eddie Vedder's, met up with him. They were hanging out before the halftime show, and Luis gave it to Bruno, and he was pretty pumped up about it, as was I. We started working on this shop about 18. It took about 18 months to build, and it's not your typical tin can sheet metal building that a lot of guys operate out of, and I truly believe that a lot of inspiration is going to come from the facility, from the building. It's when you're working on art, it's really hard to pull inspiration out of just sheet metal and aluminum and some insulation that's hanging down. This is a 160-year-old barn frame that me and my crew deconstructed carefully, painstakingly, took it apart, labeled, numbered each piece, brought them to this property, repaired them, fixed them up, put them on this new foundation. There's radiant heat in the floor. Put these SIP panels on the outside, so it's an extremely insulated building. Should be low operating costs. It's funny because building guitars would be amazing, but is it a pipe dream at times? You always hear the starving artist, and you always hear of the this, but I'm like, I can do it. I can totally do it. It's just a matter of doing the right pieces for the right people and putting the work in. If you're not willing to put the work in, well, a great idea, but you're not going to succeed. I mean, like I just said, I think success is when opportunity meets hard work. Because if you're not really willing to put the work in, then the opportunity is just going to come and go.